Right, good morning everybody. I'm Keith Berry, your project manager for the new building. And I think from that first song that we sang right at the beginning, where the words were, "We are the church," I think that's important to remember, that whether we meet here in a school or round by the tennis courts in our own building, we, the people of God, are the church, not the building. So if we can just remember that. It's nearly a year since we had the planning permission granted, and I expect many of you are wondering why we don't have diggers already round ripping up the old tennis courts and starting the building. Well, it's been an eventful year, I can tell you, because right at the beginning, from the diocese side, we lost first the finance director, and then in about March, the property director. And these are two key people to pushing on with this project, given the cost of it. But I am pleased to say that, first of all, a new finance director started in September, and tomorrow a new property director starts at the diocese. But I can bring you the good news and reassure you that from the diocese side, the commitment to the project remains completely unchanged. So they're still committed to putting a building onto King's Hill. But it is a partnership project, don't forget. So that's from their side. Now, why has it taken so long and we still don't have any building going on? Well, once we had the planning permission, we could go out to tender, and that took until about April, May time. When the tenders came in, it was quite a shock. Over probably the past 18 months or so, construction inflation has been running at about 50%. And that's created, first of all, huge uncertainty over what the building was going to cost. And then when we did find out, we all sort of blanched a bit. So that's meant that the diocese, as the funder of the project, has had to start to think about how they're going to fill that gap. Now, how big is that gap? Well, when we first got the tenders back, the project cost had risen from about £1.8 million to around £2.6 million. We then went back to 3 of the 4 tenderers and got them to do some more detail, and the price went up again. And then when we got to the point where we chose a contractor and we dug really into the detail and tried to cover off all the possible things that could arise so that we were as firm with the price as we could, it rose again to about just over £2.8 million. Now, against this, the backdrop obviously is that the diocese and churches are still recovering from the COVID shutdowns. So across the diocese, congregational numbers I don't think have recovered, and of course along with that, neither has the congregational giving. So the diocese finances are in, a delicate state. So having a finance director and a property director are probably 2 very key appointments to ensuring that the basis on which we go forward is a sound one. So they need more time, and at the moment the indication is probably around about 6 months. Well, by the time another 6 months has gone by, we're now forecasting that the project will probably be around about £3 million. So that's what the diocese is trying to fund. That's their biggest task, but they need support, because as I say, this is a partnership project, and you on this side, we on this side, have as big a part to play as the diocese does in funding it. So there are a number of things that the leadership team here has agreed that we need to do, and we need to do it in step with the diocese. So the first thing, I think, is that we have to try and support their efforts to finance the building. And one of the things we've been doing is talking to some consultants called Think Philanthropy, which is about moving major fundraising forward. So we've already seen, I remember the last time we talked, you were delivering your accounts, and you'd got like £80,000 tucked away to give to the diocese, and that's brilliant. But as the costs have gone up and up, and from their side, we now have a gap of about £1.25 million that they've got to find. We need to see if we can fill some of that gap as well. So the fundraising workshop, which I think is next Sunday the 3rd, is a really important step, and as many people as can engage with that, if that's your thing and you're interested in that, the better. Because we're going to need to see if we from this side of the partnership can produce a significant grant income. And that will then give the encouragement to the diocese and supplement what they're doing. The revision vision needs to be translated into a mission action plan, because I think, when Mark was talking about you've gone through a reflective period, I think to me, it feels as though that time of reflection is coming to an end, and 2024 is going to be a time of action. So the next thing is we did a business plan, which I think it probably had about 2018 or 2019 as the last year where we had actuals, and then we went into the COVID shutdowns, and everything's all gone upside down from that. So we need to revisit the business plan. And against that, 3 years ago, interest rates, we were talking about 1%, now we're talking about 5%, and that's got to be factored into the business plan. We've got to continue as St Gabriel's to meet the contributions to the Common Fund, so that we're showing our continuing commitment to supporting other churches and the diocese. And probably the biggest message that I want to say to you is we must continue to be positive about the building project. And that means, whenever we engage with people in the community, the business community, the community groups, we need to be telling them about it and saying it's going to happen, and this is why we need the building, this is what we're going to be doing out of the building, because this is no time at all to be dropping our enthusiasm levels or our commitment levels, and I think everybody has a part to play in that. From the diocese side, apart from trying to come up with ways of filling a £1.25 million gap, they are taking a number of specific actions. So they've had some central Church of England money, which they're going to put towards recruiting a fundraiser. And part of that fundraiser's role at the centre will be supporting both individual churches, but also major projects, such as this one in Kingsville. So we're going to be getting some extra support on fundraising. They already pay for the consultants, Think Philanthropy, who we engage with. They'll be restarting some regular project board meetings, which I think, we'd all accept that communication is the key in a partnership project. And because the diocese lost their two of their key members, the board meetings have dropped off, and we need to make sure that those are running regularly, and good communication is at the heart of the next 6 months. But it's not going to be an easy 6 months. One of the things which I don't think I'm pleased about this, but they've said they'll continue to fund my role as project manager. So that's quite a commitment to them. I wish it was a bigger commitment, I have to say, but I'm happy to be continuing with that. And along with the communication role, I think I'll be starting to attend the leadership team meetings when you have those, and that'll help that communication between parish or team here and the diocese. And then finally, they're going to seek they're going to seek to provide some additional project support to the leadership team and to the project. And we're not quite sure what that will look like at the moment. We've got to look at where the help might be needed. So I hope that you'll find this has been a positive message to you. It's not going to be an easy couple of 6 months, but I'm looking forward to helping you push through those 6 months. And you know, the day we actually get to dig on site will be such a wonderful moment. So I look forward to that. I will be staying around at the end, so if you've got any questions or you need a bit more information, do feel free to get me a coffee and talk to me.